way next is the head football coach of the York Falcons. They are rolling too at 4-1. That's Coach Doug Pereira. His team's got a big matchup with Lafayette next. It's coming your way here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
ESPN Radio 94.1.
You're listening to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
It's the final day of September. Oh, what a month it was. A really good month. And it was a good month for the York Falcons. They go into October with a record of 4-1 overall as they beat Grafton last night 42-6. And we say good morning to our pal Doug Pereira, the head coach of the Falcons. Coach, how you doing? Had to be a nice win last night, huh?
Yes, sir. It was, Matt. Thank you very much.
We're delighted to have you on the program. And I know Ed is even more delighted because I sent him the video link you put up on Facebook, which Ed can detail for the listeners here. And he was so thrilled that we're going to work so hard this year. We're going to work diligently to get him to come out for a game with some red smoke in his gymnasium for hoops.
Hey, that's awesome. That's a great idea.
Doug, that was the best video I've seen. It's got to go viral. It's got to go worldwide. Doug comes out of the house. He pauses. All of a sudden, shoot from the side, from the bushes now, is this stream of blue smoke. It engulfs him, encompasses almost his whole body. But he gets through it. He jogs, not walk. He jogs to the truck, jumps in the truck, and down the road he goes, almost like everybody in the neighborhood behind him, dogs, cats, kids, everybody following him on the way to their big win. I think it was the time when they beat what was that game?
Tab, I think.
Tab, 31-27. Yeah, that's the one.
And had the football music in the background. It was awesome.
It was unbelievable. I saw that. The hair on my arms and elsewhere stood all over the place, and I ran outside looking for the truck myself. Of course, I'm in Suffolk. You're up there in York, but I was ready to run behind you.
Well, and let me tell you guys, my type of comedy is, like the Sports Center commercials that are on for all those years, and Will Ferrell and Steve Carell, those types of guys. And so to me, I was just trying to be silly, and to actually think that people think that I would come out like that on game day, I think it's hilarious.
Doug, you're right. You're Will Ferrell, Doug Perot, one and the same. You would definitely. You remind me when Will Ferrell in the movie High School or whatever it was, Old School, when he was running, streaking down the street, when he thought everybody was with him, and his wife pulls up in the van and he jumps in, butt naked, and wanted to know if KFC was still open. No, that's Doug Perot.
He would not do that.
That is my man, Doug.
Hey, thanks a lot, man.
Hey, Doug, a couple more wins, and you'll be doing that.
I don't know about that.
Well, just make sure your wife don't know because you'll be running by yourself.
Yeah, you bet.
I love the Charlie Steiner Sports Center commercials. Those are a classic. But, Coach, when I'm more
me, it was SVP was the guy I thought. I just thought his stuff was way too funny.
Yeah, SVP's pretty good, too. Yeah.
Doubt.
Let's get to a more serious note, though. Your football team, you got that win over Gloucester to start the year, and we'll see what Gloucester's doing now, 16-10 that you guys held on there in the rain. You beat Bruton, you beat Tab. You lose to Smithfield. Coming off a loss, knowing that Grafton's a team that, okay, they don't have maybe the guys they did a year ago, still trying to find their way, had a late coaching hire. What was sort of the message to not let that linger and become 2 losses in a row going into last night?
Well, there really wasn't much of a message. It's Grafton. It's a rival. It's a county school. The guys right down the street. We didn't have to say a whole lot about that. Our kids, we had the Hovis Trophy on the line, which goes to the champion of the county. And so we approach that like we approach every game. We call it the Grafton Championship, the Hovis Trophy Championship. And, the kids buy into that big time. And the Smithfield game, I don't want to take a thing away from Smithfield. They're very, very good. But that particular week, we didn't have a normal practice. We were kind of beat up, and we literally did not hit the whole week. And so I knew going into Smithfield it was going to be a scenario where we can't let them have any of the leash whatsoever. And that's exactly what happened going into the half of that game. And Smithfield does what they do. They took over at that point. But, we were able to shut that one away immediately and start preparing for Grafton, and our kids, were on board from the beginning on that.
I wanted to piggyback on a little bit too, Coach Smith. You caught them at a bad time. They had the losses to Dinwiddie and Lafayette, where they played with Lafayette pretty close and had a chance to be in that game with a chance to win. Didn't do it, and then also didn't have their best effort against Jamestown. So you caught them a little bit on the angry side. Let's focus on these guys you have now, because a year ago the team finished 1-9, but you brought back a good nucleus. I remember reading on your survey and in the offseason you liked this core led by the offensive personnel. You got Ramsey Hyatt at quarterback, and then the Lytle brothers, Adam and Cole, both heading to the next level in state. Tell us more about those guys and what they do for your offense.
They allow us to put the ball into a lot of places. And so, defenses have to line up prepared to cover a bunch of guys, not just one or two. And, while those guys have done a great job for us this year, Keaston Hutchinson and John Michael Cassidy, a running back, have done an awesome job for us. Just the offensive line is still gelling. They're young, but I love this line. These guys, they're undersized. They're not a typical group of linemen, and yet they line up each week and get better. And so it's really the whole team effort that's causing us to be where we are right now.
We're chatting with Doug Pereira, head football coach of the York Falcons, who go into the month of October sitting at 4-1 overall, very much in the playoff picture, taking on Lafayette coming up October the 5th. That is on Thursday. It's High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Ed?
Hey, Doug, I know you and Matt there highlighting a few of your key kids. I always like to, when the season's going really well for somebody, how about a kid or two that we're not hearing a whole lot about, but obviously he's contributing greatly. The coaches see it. Could be a lineman. It could be somebody off the bench, a special team or whatever. You got a kid or two maybe that you can mention that's been really big for you?
I have to begin with John Michael Cassidy, and the reason for that is offensively he's made some great plays with us at running back this season. Runs very hard every play. He was probably the most valuable player in the Gloucester game for his punting. And he's put 3 or 4 punts inside the 5 this year. So the little other things he's able to do has just been amazing. And then he threw that winning touchdown pass with a minute left against Tab for us to be able to win that game. So he's done some amazing stuff for us. Then on defense, we have a guy named Mason Bambini playing linebacker. And, he's not the biggest linebacker in the world, but if you look at his helmet, you realize very quickly what style of a player he is, because his paint scheme is basically gone. It's chipped off the helmet through these games. He's just a hard-headed player, gets after it, makes a lot of plays on defense. And then really, other than that, it's a bunch of guys who just come up, make a big play here and there. And that's what's allowed us to be where we are right now, is guys who stepped up when we really needed them.
Well, Coach, looking back at what you had put on the survey, too, I know the things you were wondering about was the young offensive line. Could it gel? And if you do, you have some weapons at receiver and running back to make plays. And then defensively, the linebackers, you mentioned, of course, what Gambini's done for you, an undersized guy playing so hard. You had some new guys there. How have been some of the question marks you had going into the season? Have they been answered? And what's kind of your assessment now at the midway point? Are we ahead, are we behind, or on schedule?
The questions are being answered. They're not answered yet. We're still young. We had some early scenarios that happened last night in the game that just showed how youthful we really are. And the kids know that. And that's what's beautiful about it, is they get it. They know that they have to work to get better from week to week. But the O-line has done a fine job for us. Our linebackers are way ahead of schedule, in my opinion. And, as a team, 4-1 at midseason, we'll take that every time.
Especially after being a 1-9 a season ago. What's different about this team other than just having more experience now? Was there something in the offseason that you saw that this team was going to turn things around? Was there some games last year a little bit misleading? Like, hey, we were 1-9, but we could have been easily 5-5. What do you attribute the quick turnaround in terms of the win-loss column from last year to this year, right out of the gate?
2 things. 1-9 last year. That team was not a 1-9 bunch. I've never had so much adversity hit a team in a particular season as we did last year, especially with the injuries and things like that. And I told that senior class last year that they're going to be remembered down the road for hanging in there as these next groups come through and are successful. That's one. And then the other thing, I can tell you right up to our principal at our school, we have all really bought into the family atmosphere with regard to our team itself, but also the entire school. That's contagious. And when everyone buys into, hey, I'm in it for everybody else, you start playing a little harder, and it starts to matter a little bit more. So, at York High School, there's some amazing things going on right now. We're happy to be a part of that. And, I know that sounds weird to talk about people outside of the program counting in for us being winners, but I 100% believe that that's the case right now.
Well, Doug, obviously, I know you won't say it because you're the humble guy that you are. To come from 1-9 and put this stuff together, too, got to have a leader out there to make sure these kids stay on that path and bring them through. And not that I know you a whole lot, but just listening to you in our interviews over the years, you got to give yourself a little bit of pat on the back, too. Even though you're not done and you doggone coaches, it's one day at a time, one game at a time. So I know how you are. But anyways, keep doing what you're doing. But now I got to throw this one in. You got to play somebody next week named Lafayette.
Yeah.
Quick feelings about this Lafayette team that only gives up about 4.5 points a game, and they like to put about 30 on the board themselves. Now, I know you're not going to divulge any secrets, but just give me some thoughts on this Lafayette Ram team.
They are where they are for a reason. A very good program. Coach Lynn does a great job over there with the staff and his players. That's a dynasty. That's the Alabama of high school football in our particular area here. And so, the way we are approaching this game next week is very simple. We need to put together 4 quarters of great football. And as the fourth quarter enters, give ourselves a chance to be in the game and take care of business at that point. We will not beat Lafayette playing one great quarter or even 2 great quarters. We have to put together a great game from beginning to end. That's how you beat Lafayette. That's how any team beats Lafayette because the machine that they are, you slack off for 1 second, you're in trouble. And so literally that's our approach going into this one.
Well, it'll be a good one on Thursday night as York takes on Lafayette, playing host to Lafayette. Rams running on that 46-game Bay Rivers District winning streak, and the Falcons trying to end that and move to 5-1. Coach, we appreciate your time this morning, and I'm sure we'll talk with you down the road. Best of luck this week and beyond.
Guys, thanks for having me on. Thanks for allowing York High School to be represented today. And good luck to you guys the rest of the way here.
Hey, Doug, we're going to let you get out of here. You won't see it because it's radio, but we got blue smoke in the studio.
I'm a little nervous about that. I don't know what you all are doing up there, but that's all good.
It's out of the machines, trust me.
Our pleasure, Coach. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Have a good day.
You got it.
All
That's
right,
Doug Pereira, head football coach of the York Falcons, with us this morning here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. And High School Sports Talk, now powered by Subway. Choose from 5 different 6-inch subs